You guys have hit on a really core issue. So first off, again, you don't have to agree with anything that I'm saying. I'll just use some of my language. But first off, productivity is itself a tax or friction, right? Because it comes from the mindset traditionally in the past. The idea essentially is that there's a set of human capacity and a set of problems to be solved. And productivity is essentially, given this level of human capacity and other assets and resources of the organization, but how many problems can we solve, how effectively, and at what cost? And can we continually reduce the cost or increase the effectiveness of those humans, or replace those humans, at least the tasks that they were performing, with technology, which can increase productivity? And so I want to just challenge the assumption that that's the right goal. That instead, what the real goal is to continually solve problems the most effectively, and to do it in ways that use resources the most effectively. And that the mentality in the past around productivity often comes from a zero-sum mentality, as opposed to what we call an abundance mentality. That is, you've got tons of human resources within the organization, people that have tremendous skill sets you don't even know about. I always use the example of an iceberg. First off, most humans, we don't know our own skills. We don't really understand what our human potential is. We don't know how much capacity we have. And secondly, as organizations, we don't know. In part because the humans don't know, and in part because we don't ask them. We don't. We know what they put. What it sits in the human resource information system, or we know what information we've gathered from them, but we don't really know what their human potential is. So instead, what I'd say is, well, so measurement is mostly around looking at outputs. And instead, I'd say you look at results. Is calibrating organizations around the deliverables, like what actual value gets created, and having a set of far more nimble and adaptive and inclusive processes that empower people to figure out how they're going to get there to those kinds of results is actually the goal. What we've done with traditional organizations is we've segmented people away from an understanding of what those results are that we wanted to generate, and instead had them focus on a set of processes. So I've written a ton of this. I'm happy to send links to you folks, but essentially what we need to do is, if we become more problem-centric, you get far better results. And then the way that you measure that is around those results, rather than on trying to look at each step along the way and how you got a little more incremental, less money, less cost in each of those steps. Now, again, there are industries and organizations where, because the processes are so well known and you're very efficiency focused, and we often think of financial services, we think of some kinds of manufacturing, especially high precision manufacturing. We think of those as being so critical around process that you can't monkey with it. But you'd be astonished what happens when you start telling employees not the steps they need to go through, but the results that they need to get. And I'm happy to give you example after example of companies that have done that. Productivity then becomes not a management by surveillance analysis of every step they went through and how much money they saved and doing it better. It becomes looking at the results that are generated and continually adaptive processes to be able to generate those. So that's not theoretical. That is actually extraordinarily practical. Again, the place to start is probably not your core business. It's probably to do it on the edge. It's probably to do it with new projects. But the results can be phenomenal.